So, what do you need exactly to start driving in Canada? Whether you have zero experience or you have been driving back home and you're just arriving to Canada and you want to start driving here. In this video, I will talk about all the details and how to convert your license, whether you have experience or you don't have an experience. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I make lots of videos about immigration, visas, lifestyle, and I make also lots of content for new immigrants, whether you are in Canada or you're planning to come to Canada soon, to make sure you have an easy and seamless transition. Without any further ado, let's dive right into it. So just before we start this video, whether you're moving to Ontario or Alberta or BC, this video has all the details that you may need, and most provinces they share the same requirements and restrictions. I would say 95% out of all provinces they share the same requirements. There is some minor changes that may not even impact you. Since I lived in Ontario and in Alberta and in BC, so I'm gonna share all the general information that you may need. At the end of the video, I will mention all the information targeting BC, whether you're coming to live in Vancouver, Burnaby, Richmond, Surrey, or Kelowna, all have the same regulations. One thing to keep in mind that if you don't have a driving experience and you are in Canada and you want to get started driving, you would have to go into 3 steps. And these steps basically are available in all the provinces. The funny thing is the name keeps changing wherever you go. But in general, they are all the same. For the sake of simplicity, first level means learner, second level means intermediate, and last level means experienced driver. So different names, so don't confuse yourself. We're gonna talk about this later. So we are gonna talk about the requirements and restriction for each one of these 3 phases. So the first one is called the learner. In order to get a learner, you need to be at least at the age of 16. From age of 16 to age of 19, you can get a learner, but you need to be with a parents or a legal guardian just to sign for a consent. So what does a learner mean? It means basically it's a computer exam. You have to book an appointment and you have to show at the registry. It's a multiple choice question and you need to score 40 out of 50 to pass this exam. The cost of this exam is $15. In case you fail the exam, you have to wait for 7 days in order for you to book again. Every time you fail and you need to book again, you have to pay another $15. The good thing about this exam in BC, and I think in all other provinces, there are more than 12 languages. So if you don't speak English or you don't speak French, don't worry. They have Russian, they have an Arabic, they have French, they have German, and they have so many other Asian countries as well. Just ask about your preferred language. Also, part of the first phase, the learner test, you have to do something called a vision test. It's not a very professional vision test. It's basically the same registry you go to book your appointment and to take the exam. There is a small station with a small machine. Basically, you have to look into this machine and the person would have to ask you basically 5 questions. It's quite simple, and this just to show that you don't have a very serious vision issue. Again, the vision test is included in the $15, so you don't have to pay vision and the commuter test. They are all together and it's $15. And the vision test, you only do it once. So let's say you showed up and you did the test and you scored 40 out of 50. So this means you passed the learner test, which is phase 1 out of 3. So what does that mean? Can you drive now? Or what are the restrictions? Yes, you can drive now, but you have 7 restrictions. First of all, you have to display this L sign at the back of your car all the times when you're driving. It's a very magnetic sign. You just have to put it at the end and it will stick. Second, you cannot drive by yourself. You need to be with a supervisor. This supervisor could be your friend, could be your one of your siblings or your parents. As long as this supervisor has to be at age of 25 years old and he has the last level of the driving phases, which is experience. For example, if he is in the first one or phase two, but he is above 25 years old, this means this person is not eligible. Third, this supervisor must be beside you in the front seat. 4, you should not drink alcohol, which means you need to have a zero alcohol consumption. 5, you are limited to have one extra passenger with you apart from the supervisor. So this means the supervisor has to be seated all the time in the front seat, and you can have a friend at the back seat, but has to be a maximum one person plus the supervisor. 6, you're not allowed to play with the stereo or use your phone even if you're talking with the headphones or with the Bluetooth speaker. So touching or playing with any electricity is completely prohibited as long as you're in phase 1. 7th and the last one is no driving between midnight to 5 in the morning, even if you have a supervisor. After you pass the test and you drive for 1 year clear and you have a clear records, no prohibition, you have not broken any rules, then you're allowed to take the first road test. And now we are jumping to the second phase, which we call it experienced learner, or here in BC we call it novice. It's only one requirement that you need to pass this road test. In the description I have mentioned all the links that you need to study for the computer test or for the road test. And by the way, these signs and all these instructions are kind of the same in Canada and in Northern America, unless you're coming from Asia probably, or Europe or the Middle East. These signs will be different, but as long as you have been driving in Northern America, the signs will be the same. They are all in the description in a PDF format. You can download them and you can study them and memorize all the signs before you even come to Canada. So this second phase, you don't have to do a computer test since you passed it in the phase 1, but you have to do a road test. You need to know how to back up, how to parallel park, stall parking, or parking at hills, whether downhill or uphill, also merging into intersection. Again, the examiner is not expecting you to be perfect. Like, he knows exactly where you're coming from and your experience, so you don't have to score 100%. As long as, my own suggestion, just make sure you're holding the steering properly, follow the speed limits, follow the signs. That's why you have to pass phase 1, because it has all the signs. Do not go over the speed limits. Some of these examiners are quite dodgy. They might ask you if the speed limit is usually 30, 40, and he can look at the gauge and he might tell you to speed up. So if you listen to him and you speed up, he might fail you because you listen to him, and this shows that you are not following the speed sign. Not all of them, but he might just test you to make sure you're reading the speed signs. And also just make sure you're checking the mirror, the back mirror, and the most important ones are the shoulder check. It's very important. Just show the examiner you're confident, you know all the signs, you're following the speed limits, and you're doing the shoulder checks. You should be okay. No perfection required here at stage 2. Also, the study material is available in the description. You can download it as a PDF file. The cost of the road test costs around $50. If you fail the first time, you will have to wait for 14 days. And if you fail the second time, you have to wait for 1 month. Every time you fail, you have to pay $50. So after you pass the first road test, which is, again, the first road test. This is not the road test. There's no road test here. This is only a computer or knowledge test. The first road test here, and then we have second road test here. So as soon as you pass the first road test, you're allowed to drive by yourself. But here you have 4 restrictions only versus 7 restrictions in the first phase. What are these 4 restrictions? Display this N sign at the back of the car all the time when you're driving. And again, N means novice or experienced learner. Again, no alcohol consumption here whatsoever. So phase 1 or phase 2, no alcohol consumption. Third, not allowed to play with electronic devices, including the stereo and your phone, including hands-free talking. Fourth and last, you're only allowed to have your immediate family with you in the car. Doesn't matter how many they are, plus one. So this means as soon as you have 2 or 3 people, they are your immediate family, that's fine, but you should only have one friend. For example, if you have your brother or sister and you have 2 friends, that's not allowed. If you have 2 siblings and one friend, that's okay. If you have 3 siblings and one friend, that's still okay. So after you pass the second test and you wait for 1 year, you don't have any prohibitions, you have a clear records, or you don't have any accident, then you can go and request to do a final road test, which means in total you need to have 2 years of driving in order for you to go for the advanced road test. And most probably, if you have been driving for 2 years, following the signs, and you know all the requirements for driving, you should be okay to drive into highways. This is when the examiner will test you with everything mentioned before. Besides, he will ask you to go for an advanced task like going into a highway or going into a bridge. Okay, so now we are done with the first part. So this is the end of part 1, which is driving without experience. I'll summarize it very quickly. You have 3 phases: the learner, which is a computer test, and then you have to wait for 1 year, and then you have to do the first road test, and then you have to wait for another year and you need to do the final road test. And as soon as you're advancing with the stage, you get less requirements, and as soon as you're here in the last stage, you don't have any restrictions, plus you're allowed to have a glass of alcohol. Second part of this video is if you're moving to Canada new here and you want to convert your driving license. Here we have 2 parts. If you're coming here for only a visit, which is 6 months, you don't have to do any of the above. You don't have to do a local test or a knowledge test. You're allowed to drive in Canada with your original back home country license up to 6 months only, as long as your visa is visitor visa. However, if you're moving here, whether you're coming to study or to work or moved in here permanently, then before coming to Canada, make sure to get all the requirements documents from your back home, which means any documents that can show your driving experience. And of course, the more the merrier, because the more experience you have, it will decrease the insurance premium you have to pay here. I will make a different video for the insurance. If you're coming here to BC or Toronto, you will be paying lots of money for premium, especially if you don't have driving experience. So if you have driving experience, make sure, and at least you need to have 2 years driving experience in order for you to transfer all the credits. So let's say you're moving from outside Canada and you have more than 2 years of driving. So you should be falling under one of these 2 categories: reciprocal driving license or non-reciprocal. What does that mean? Reciprocal, you need to be from a certain countries. I believe most of them are from Europe, the Commonwealth country like Australia, New Zealand, and some Asian country like Japan, Taiwan, I believe South Korea. What does reciprocal mean? Basically, all you have to do is show up at the registry, give them your local license, they will give you a Canadian license. You don't have to do a knowledge test, you don't have to do a road test. You're all good to go and you can get your license by mail within few days. However, the other category, which is non-reciprocal, if you're one of these countries which is not listed, which means your driving license is not reciprocal, but what can you do? When you come, bring all these documents and experience letter from your home country. Make sure they are genuine or they are notarized or having stamp, just to make sure you get the full credits. What they will be doing for you is you still have to go through the first and last phase, and they will skip the second one if they recognized and accepted your driving history. So this means if you're coming here, you have more than 2 years of experience and you're not from the reciprocal country. So first you will have to do the knowledge test. Again, the description of the knowledge test, you can study from it. I have it in the description here. It's a PDF file. And then you can show all your records, and you have to surrender your driving license. Just be ready for that. So if you have an original back home country, they have to take it away from you. They will destroy it, and then you will skip the second phase, and then you will go to the last phase, which is the final test, which is amazing. Please let me know in the comments which province are you going to, and if there is any question or you didn't understand any part, please leave it in the comment. I lived in Alberta, BC, and in Ontario, and I'll be able to assist you. Anyways guys, I hope you found this video helpful. Hit the like button and subscribe to my channel to see my other videos. See you soon.